Here is Unit 10, Section 5, Angle Transversals. So what you're looking at right here is a transversal. A line that intersects two or more lines at different points is called a transversal. So this actually is not a good place to put the arrow. The line that is the transversal is this line that is labeled T. Notice how it's intersecting line M and line N at different points, and it's called a transversal. There are 8 angles formed in all by the transversal. Notice they are labeled 1 through 8. A transversal creates pairs of corresponding angles. So think about what that word corresponding means. Corresponding means, in math, angles that are congruent because they are in the same spot in both lines. So you end up having 4 pairs of corresponding angles that are formed. Corresponding angles. So they are congruent, which you may or may not know means equal angles. So let's talk about the lines in my transversal that are congruent. And there's 2 little symbols that we need to talk about real quick before we get to that. We have, let me change my pen size, this equal sign with a little squiggly on top. That means congruent. And then we have this little symbol that means angle. And that'll make sense why I'm telling you that in just a second. So notice here we have you've got your transversal, and then you have line M and line N. So angle 1 is on line M. It's on the top right. Or not top right, top left. It's on top of line M on the left of transversal T. If I want to find the corresponding angle to that, I want to find the angle that's on top of N and to the left of T. So that ends up being angle 5. It is on the top left of angle, or line N, not angle. So here we're going to write angle 1 is congruent to angle 5. Another pair of corresponding angles, you have angle 2 is now on top of line M, but to the right of your transversal. On line N, you want to find the angle that's on top, so either 5 or 6, and this time you want it to be on the right of your transversal. So angle 6 is on the top right. So you have angle 2 is congruent to angle 6. And then I'm going to go ahead and erase this writing here so it doesn't get super messy. Next, we have angle 3. It is now on the bottom of line M and on the left. So you want to find the angle that's on the bottom of line N. So it could be 7 or 8, and it has to be on the left. So bottom left ends up being angle 7. So we can say angle 3 is congruent to angle 7. And that only leaves our angles 4 and 8, which are on your bottom right. Those angles are also corresponding. So angle 4 is congruent to angle 8. So there are 4 pairs of corresponding angles that are created, and these are angles that are in the same spot in both lines. So now I'm going to go ahead and erase these so we can talk about another relationship. Next relationship you have is called alternate interior angles. They are formed on opposite sides of the transversal on the inside of the lines. Think about the word interior, means the inside of a home. So inside, these alternate interior angles, that's where they are. They're on the inside. Pairs of alternate interior angles are also congruent. And remember that word congruent means they have equal angle measures. So let's look here. I'm going to make a little box out of this, my two lines that are parallel, M and N. So there's my box, and the interior angles, I'll write them up here, are going to be angles 3, angles 4, angles 5, and angles 6. Now let's talk about what the word alternate. Alternate is another way to say opposite. So these are formed on opposite sides of the transversal. So if I have angle 3 and I want to find the angle that's opposite of my interior, so let's think about opposite. If I do 3 and 4, they are side by side. That is not opposite. 3 and 6 are going to be your alternate interior angles. They are on opposite sides of my transversal, and they are inside my lines. And they are congruent, so I can use a symbol. And that leaves angles 5 and 4 to also be alternate interior angles, because they are on opposite sides of my transversal, and they are inside your parallel lines. Next, you have alternate interior's older brother. Sorry about that. You have now, instead of alternate interior angles, you're going to have alternate exterior angles. These are angles that are formed still on the opposite sides of the transversal, but now they are on the outside of your parallel lines. These angles are also congruent, and remember, congruent means they have the same angle measures. So the interior or the exterior angles, go ahead and list those, are angles 1, angles 2, angles 7, and angles 8. So they have to be on opposite sides of my parallel line, not parallel, my transversal. So if I have angle 1, the opposite exterior angle for that is going to be angle 8. So angles 1 and angles 8 are alternate exterior. And that leaves angles 2 and angle 7 to be the other pair of alternate exterior angles. The angles that lie in the area inside your two parallel lines that are cut by a transversal are now called same side interior, because they are on the same side of your parallel lines and they are inside them as well. A pair of interior angles, they lay on the same side of the transversal. I didn't use enough of my space, so that's okay. Notice it does not say that these angles are congruent. So now, my same side, so here is interior. So interior, remember, is 3, 4, 5, and 6. 3 is on the same side of my transversal T as angle 5. We're not going to use my congruent symbol, so we're just going to say you have angles 3 and angles 5, which leaves angles 6 and angle 4 as the other pair of same side interior angles. Just like with alternate exterior, you have a similar idea, except now they are on the same side exterior. So the angles that lie in the area outside, I don't know, I put exterior, I should have put outside, that's okay. We all make mistakes. Lie on the outside of the parallel lines, they're cut by a transversal. These are called same side exterior because they are on the outside of your parallel lines. But they are on the same side of your transversal. These measures of these exterior angles add up to 180 degrees, which you may remember is a straight line. So notice, let me erase this, angles 1 and angle 2, wait a second, not 1 and 2, angles 1 and angle 7 are on the left side of my transversal, and they are both exterior. So if I added up angles 1 and angle 7, I would get a straight line. But they are not congruent. And then the other pair ends up being angles 2 and angles 8. That's a lot of information, but it will make sense once we start putting numbers in it. Alright. Oops, I forgot to erase this part. So here is an example how you would use these relationships. So there's really two questions that you should ask yourself. I get in the habit of asking myself these two questions, so I know I've got all my characteristics covered. The first question you should ask yourself, are they on the same or opposite side of the transversal? So that's going to answer the question if it's alternate or same side. Second question you should ask yourself, are they on the inside or outside of your parallel lines? And that's going to answer your interior-exterior question. So, what relationship do the two angles share? And what is the value of x? So, I have this angle and this angle. So, first I need to ask myself, are they on the same or opposite sides of the transversal? Here, I'm on the left of the transversal, and here I'm on the right. So, they are on opposite sides. If I have something that's on the opposite side, I know they will be alternate. So I've got half of my characteristic down. Next, are they on the same, are they on the inside or outside of your parallel lines? Here's your parallel lines. Inside, remember, would be this area. They are not inside, so they are outside. Remember, the word for that is exterior. So now we know if we go back to our alternate exterior angles, they are congruent. So they are going to be equal. So we can set x plus 136 equal to 125. So now I'm going to subtract 136 from both sides. And I end up getting x equals negative 11. And it says to show all of my work. So my unknown value in this little expression is negative 11. Next, I have what relationship do these two angles share? I have my two questions I'm going to ask myself. Are they on opposite or the same side of my transversal? Here's my transversal. They are on opposite sides, so that is alternate. And then are they on the inside or the outside of my parallel lines? These end up being on the inside, so these are interior angles. And we know that alternate interior angles are congruent. So I've got 14x minus 2 has to equal 110. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And I get 14x is equal to 112. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 14. And I get that x is equal to 8. Now here, I have 1 through 8, and it's asking me about angles 1 and 8. So here you don't have to find any unknowns. You just need to go and ask yourself these two questions and write down the relationship.